I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series CPS the Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but I am a mom who had her children kidnapped by CPS in 2017. After 2 years of fighting, I did get my kids back. And the reason of this show is to just shine light on the truth of the corruption, the trauma, and the devastation that CPS causes when they take children from loving parents. So, okay, Jessy, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from, how many children you have, and
Oh, you're on mute. Oh.
sorry, so on and so forth.
Okay, well, my name is Jessica Vore, but I like calling Jessy, and I have 3 kids, and I live in Ridgeville, Indiana, and I had a case back in 2016, and I'm not real sure if I still have it or not, if I still have a case or not.
Okay. Were you in the system as a child or no?
No, I wasn't in the system as a child.
Okay. I asked that because I've noticed a pattern. A lot of parents who have CPS cases happen to be in the system as a child. So,
I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, so let's start. Tell me why CPS came in your life, and what were the allegations, and how did it all start?
How it all started was I was in an abusive relationship, and when we were split, I was living at my dad's house, and then apparently we got in a fight, and somebody called on us, and then they just kept on. I don't know how to explain it, but they just kept on, bugging us and stuff and everything. But it kept on getting worse and worse because he would get more irritated. But it even got more worse when he got on drugs, and then I ended up getting on drugs. But I have been clean for like 4 years now, and I think that's one reason. And I wanted to get clean, and he didn't. So the abuse kept on going and going, and it even eventually, because he even threatened the kids and stuff too. The kids went to school and told them and stuff. And I thought they would help, but apparently they didn't help me out at all.
What did you use, if you don't mind me asking?
I used heroin and meth.
Okay.
But like I said, I was clean, and they were trying to use allegations in court about me using marijuana and stuff like that. But then I would go to the doctor and I'd be clean. They would try to use everything against me in court. And one caseworker even said that in the paperwork that I have back in 2016 when it started, said that they didn't. My daughter, we locked our kids out of the house. Well, he didn't have electricity or lights on, and so I came down to my dad's house and stayed there because with electricity and lights. Well, they said that my daughter was locked out and didn't know where I was, and I'm like, how did she not know where I was when she came to me and told me that they were there at the house?
And this is after the case already was opened and stuff?
Yeah, and then they kept on pushing it, and then he got even more mad because I got into another relationship, and then he started making allegations up on that one and stuff too. It's a whole mess.
Got it. So, the day that CPS first came, tell me how they came. Did they come to your house? Did they call? What was that day like?
Oh, they came to my dad's house.
Okay. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
And
I was at, and my kids were playing not too far, like maybe a couple houses down from where my dad lives.
Okay. And what happened?
They said that apparently one of the neighbors and stuff, and which I thought it was a nice little, I thought it was a nice little area. But then I got told that my kids would say that they didn't have any food and they didn't have anything to eat. And I'm like, they have food. They have, I let them pick what they wanted at the store because I got food stamps and stuff. And I showed them, my fridge, and I showed them everything. I did everything that they wanted. But and then when they kept on pestering us, well, me technically, because the dad was not helping out at all. And they kept on pestering me, and and then like third time I didn't let him in the house because I got done showing them, hey, I've shown you guys everything that you need to know, and they just keep, and my ex was saying some
Third time, as in the third day, they keep coming back different days.
Yes, different days, like, and it would be a different person.
Are they 3 days in a row, or what's the time distance between each visit?
It was 3 days in a row, basically. Because then one would come up and say, oh, well, my kid said this to the neighbor, or, one of my daughter said this and stuff.
Okay. So then what?
And then I got to the point where he, when our last fight was when I got in the car and I was hanging out of the car by my feet and stuff, and my daughter was right behind there. And so that's when I was like, okay, I gotta get clean and stuff. And then they asked us to go over to the office so the kids can talk about it and stuff, what the kids saw and everything. And then
Wait,
I was like,
what do you mean? Okay, hold on. Let's go back. So the 3 days that they came, did they have a warrant or any paperwork?
no.
So they were just coming to check on you.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, and how long were they there for? Were they questioning you, or what was going on?
They were more questioning the kids than me. And which I don't understand why they didn't question me on anything. And I have no clue because they wouldn't let me stay in the same, like I had to be out inside, and me and my two youngest ones had to be inside. If they were talking to my oldest one, he would have to be outside on the porch, and where I couldn't hear, but I was seeing, what, because my youngest was about 4 or 5 at the time. And so, how 4 and 5-year-olds are.
Right.
Be by themselves for even a minute.
Okay.
At the time.
And then, so they didn't take your kids either one of those visits, correct?
No, I think it was on the 6th visit that they came. That's when they called the cops and said that. And then I'm like, okay, because I was really far gone into meth and heroin. And I thought, that they would help me out and stuff with it, but they didn't help at all. Because we went to the office and so they could talk to the kids and stuff, because allegations on my boyfriend and stuff too. That my ex started, telling the CPS and stuff.
Telling CPS what?
That way, I don't like talking about it. I'm gonna cry. And which he would never do. That touching my kids. My ex would, was telling them that and everything else.
Your ex was telling, I'm sorry, your ex was telling CPS what? That who's touching your kids?
I'm in my now boyfriend that we weren't in a relationship then, but we are now. But my friend then.
So your ex was telling CPS that your friend was sexually touching your children?
Yeah.
Is that true?
No.
Okay.
And then my ex would get madder. about it.
Okay. And now you said something about you hanging out of a car window.
Yeah, I was reaching in to get something because when he got mad, when my ex got mad, I went in and was getting ready to reach something, and he took off with me with the door open, my feet hanging out. And then my neighbors was like, the cops are coming, the cops are coming. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, you gotta stop and let me out. And he eventually let me out.
Okay. So when did CPS actually take your kids?
I think it was in October of 2016. Yeah, it was October 2016.
What happened? Why did they take them, and how? What was the whole?
My son, um, this is when they had to tell me. This is another reason why the cops came. Sorry, I'm sitting outside. It's the only lighting I have. But he told I don't know if it was the school or I think it might have been the school, or if it was somebody that his dad threw it, because he had a scratch on his stomach, and he told people that that was his dad in this day. Well, I don't know because I haven't seen him for a while, but he'll tell you that his dad gave him that mark on his stomach, and then told him that he punched in the stomach, and I was not around because it was his time with him because we weren't together.
Okay. So then what happened?
And then we went to the office, and they didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe with my kids. I didn't feel safe around, with my ex. I didn't feel safe whatsoever. And so it was like, well, we'll help you and stuff. And then I signed a paper, and I thought it was for us to get away from him. But no, they manipulated and got me because I was vulnerable at the time. And that's when they took the kids, and it went to his parents. They went to his parents' house.
What was the paper that you signed?
It was something that said, I read it, and it said something that was supposed to help us get away from him, to like go to a housing and stuff, because they had like a little housing. They told me that they had a little housing for women, for abused women and stuff like that.
Were you still using at the time?
Huh?
Were you still using at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Did they know that?
No, but I think they probably figured it out how I was acting.
Okay. And then, so you signed a paper, and then what happened?
And then they told me that they're keeping the kids. The kids got to go somewhere, and then you got to go. And I was like, I thought you were going to take us to a shelter or somewhere, because I had nowhere to go. There was no help for me at all.
Where was you? I thought you were living with your dad.
He wasn't that helpful. My dad was an alcoholic,
Okay.
but he wasn't there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was living there, but when he came and moved back in, that's when we got kicked out and stuff, and kicked out and living in we was living in a tent in the backyard.
You and your dad were living in a tent?
No, just me and the kids. My dad didn't want the kids in the house, or, me. So, and then the kids' dad didn't want us around anyway. So, and that's when I needed help, and I had no help.
Okay, so they took the kids and gave them with the dad's mom.
Yeah. His stepmom and his dad. And then I get a call after all this, and then it was about 4 or 5 days. after the kids was placed with them, I get a call from them saying that my daughter was too much to handle for his mom. Like my daughter, she had fits. Like if she didn't have her way, she'll bang her head or she'll throw a temper tantrum or something. And I guess she hit her step grandma, and I guess she couldn't handle her. And then that's when my daughter went into foster care.
How old was she?
She was 8.
Okay, so they took her and put her in foster care.
Yeah, because I guess that foster mom was supposed to help with her anger issues and stuff. And she really wasn't really helping at all, because I had different case managers, different people that was at my visits and stuff, because if the foster mom didn't like it, she would throw a fit, and then I'd have to get somebody else.
Now, when the kids were taken, how soon did you end up in court?
They were taken on a Friday, so that Monday.
What did the judge order? Anything?
The order to get clean and get away from the kids' dad and stuff, and get a place, and which I did. I had my own place for a whole year and a half until the kids' dad found out where I was, and then I moved.
Why?
Because I didn't want him to know where I was and he was, abusive, and he was just abusive. He would stand my neighbors, because I was living in an apartment complex. My neighbors would tell me that there was somebody would be standing and staring out in the window and stuff. And which I was at work at the time, so because those hours that they told me I was at work, thank goodness.
Did you have to do drug testing?
Yeah. And I was coming up clean, but then then when court comes around, and then it's a completely different story.
What do you mean?
Like, I would have the drug test and it would say clean, and then my free lawyer at the time would look at it and say that, but then they would say, well, then she was doing this and then she has this in her system, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I have marijuana, or I have meth, or and I'm like, or in heroin, and I'm like, I haven't done that. And at the time, 4 days, 5 days. And I kept taking them for at least for 2 years. Because this is my 4th year dealing with these guys.
How long have you been clean right now?
4 years.
From everything?
From everything. I even quit smoking cigarettes, so I quit everything, and I'm happier, and I'm much more freer.
What's your custody like with the kids right now?
My daughter, they were gonna have my boys. They were gonna have a guardianship or whatever. That's what they were trying to do, to have guardianship, and then eventually I could get them back. But I don't see that happening with his parents. And then my daughter got adopted this year, and I didn't even know until my grandma told me.
She got adopted by who?
By her foster parents that was taking care of her.
Is it a closed adoption, or do you get to see her?
I haven't seen my kids in my boys for 2 years, and my daughter a year and a half. I'm not meaning to cry, but
it's okay. Do you get to talk to them?
No. My son, he tried to talk to me on Facebook, but the grandma wouldn't let him talk, or to any of my family. I had him blocked, and have him blocked us and stuff like that. And I don't talk to my daughter. Every time I try, they don't answer, or they change their numbers.
How did it come? Go ahead.
And I was supposed to have court all about all this Tuesday, and they didn't even give me a letter saying I didn't have court. I went there and there was nobody there, not the judge or anybody, and I didn't even get a letter.
Isn't all court on Zoom right now?
I don't know. They didn't tell me it was, because the bailiff was looking at it like saying, because I was supposed to be there, and then he was sitting there looking at it like, you're gonna have to talk to your, lawyer and see. And I was like, I don't have a lawyer. She quit after they were trying to get my daughter adopted out, and then I appealed because she said she doesn't do appeals.
So your court-appointed attorney quit.
Yeah.
When did she quit?
I'll say about a year ago.
And they haven't assigned you a new one?
Yeah, and I haven't even met him, or he hasn't said anything. And all the lawyers I talked to were saying that Randolph County, Indiana is difficult.
How did this all come about with you? Like, what happened? Didn't you went from having visits and seeing your kids to all of a sudden not, or?
Yeah, they just dropped and they didn't tell me. Because my last visit was with my boys.
What was your visitation like? Was it supervised?
Yes, it was supervised. All of them were supervised. And then we had not there for the second year. I think it was the second year and a half that I had unsupervised visits, and then the dad had visits, and he even had a home trial with the boys, in which it didn't turn out good at all because he was cooking meth in his garage. And then when all that happened, then we got back to straight square one.
What was on your case plan?
Getting a place, getting away, and getting a job.
Did you do all those things?
Yeah. I had one job for 3 years until I got let go, and then I just started another one about a month and a half ago. Because I never worked. I stayed at home. I was a stay-at-home mom.
Did you have to do parenting classes?
No.
Did you have to go to rehab?
No. Well, I did, but I managed to do it on my own. So I didn't have to go to rehab. I isolated myself and stayed away from people and dealt with it.
Do you still get drug tested?
No, I don't know anymore. They have dropped everything.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't have visits with my kids anymore. I don't have a case. Well, I think I might still have a case manager. She still might be my case manager. But then I don't have people to supervise because they keep on changing.
When was your last court hearing?
Before all this stuff went on, it was March of 2019, I believe.
So it's been over a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's when my court-appointed attorney quit on me because I was going to appeal for the adoption, and then on January 3rd of this year, that's when I appealed. I did it myself. That one lawyer, he appealed, I think once or twice, and then I appealed, and then I haven't heard anything from him since. Not even when I appealed.
Do you have any paperwork?
Yeah, I have all the paperwork.
Do you have a social worker?
I did. I think I still might have one.
When
So I
was the
went to
last?
therapy and everything.
What?
I said I had therapy too and stuff. I did everything that they asked me to do. Because I needed therapy. I needed to talk about it and stuff.
That's what I was asking. Like, what all was on your case plan?
I forgot I had therapy, and then the kids, because me and the kids have the same therapist. And then apparently the foster mom and the kids' grandparents didn't like the therapist. And then they went and then adopted the foster people. Parents went and paid for their own for Vivian or for my daughter to have the therapy that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boys, I don't know if they have therapy or not. If they still had therapy or they got somebody else, but she was there with me for about 3 years. Because she didn't believe in what they were trying to do either.
Yeah.
Because they was trying to use my disability, in which it's a learning disability.
What do you mean they were going to use it?
Huh?
What do you mean they were going to use it?
They were using that in court, saying that I wasn't capable of taking care of my kids. I wasn't able to discipline them and stuff like that, because they would act, when we had people coming over the house and I had them, the kids would be wild. And I handled it pretty good. I thought I handled it right. I didn't yell at them. I talked to them, right in front of them, because I never, if they were misbehaved, I would go and sit them down and stuff like that. But they would say my learning disability is why I didn't get them last time. That's what they used in court.
What is your learning disability?
It's just I have trouble like taking tests and stuff. Like, let's just say my license test or permit test, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have trouble of comprehending and stuff, but I know how to raise kids.
Right. Yeah, that shouldn't affect your ability to parent. So I just feel kind of confused.
I
If you haven't seen or talked to anybody in like a year, or sounds like more, I'd be banging on some doors,
I have been. Google has been my friend. And talking to other people that have been dealing with Randolph County and stuff. I've been talking to them and everything too, because they don't understand it either. And how they just managed to quit. And I had 4 or 5 different case managers in 2 years. Or 3 years. Yeah, it was 3 years.
And
Yeah. And then different visitation people and everything too. And I don't understand why I had so many different people. Like, it would be like 1 month I would have one case manager, and then the next month it would be another one, and then after that it would be, and then I'm having this one.
And what do they say?
I don't know. I really don't know what they say. It was like, oh, well, they got a different job. It was always, they have a different job. They're going to a different job. in which I don't think that.
Have you tried calling your CPS office and try talking to a supervisor?
Yeah, but I have not got no answers. And I have left voicemail and still nothing. And I even tried before all this stuff was going on now. I've tried before and they was still ignoring me and everything. So I'm at a loss. Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm getting ready to call on Monday. I'm getting ready to call 2 lawyers to see if they'll take my case since they're not around from Randolph County and stuff. So
obviously you're confused too. I'm just trying to think because it doesn't make sense, When was your last visit?
I think it was back in 2018. I think it was back in September.
And it was supervised?
Yes, it was supervised. I think that was the last time I saw my daughter. Back in June or August of 2018. That's when I lost seeing the boys. That was my last time seeing my boys.
How often were you seeing them?
Once a week. It was 2 times a week, and then it went the once a week, and then it would go like 2 weeks away, and then like 2 weeks would be gone, and then there's that week, and then I would see them, and then bam, nothing. Because on my last one with the boys, apparently she didn't like how I was doing it because she was trying to tell me how to deal with my youngest, in which he was more traumatized with everything because he was slowly talking and slowly learning things because he was just going into school. And apparently he when he threw a fit and she was like, well, you need to sit, she was telling me what to do. She was like, well, you need to sit, you need to walk away, you don't need to tell him what he did wrong. I was like, I have to tell him what he did wrong. He needs to understand why he's sitting there and what he did. I think he threw a toy across the library.
Who did?
My youngest son. I think that's
what it was. This was out of visit?
Yeah, this was out of visit. He got mad. He was sitting there playing, and then he got mad and just threw the toy, and it hit his brother. And then I went over there and sat him down and was, was going to explain. And this CPS worker was like, you can't tell him, you have to sit there, let him sit there and then go. I mean, he was screaming and he was throwing a fit, and I still went over there and talked to him and calmed him down. But apparently that really ticked her off because I didn't do what she wanted me to do.
Who was supervising the visits?
I think it was one of them CPS workers. I can't remember her name though. I had a lot of them with the supervised visit. But yeah, I can't think.
Did you call them and just say what's going on with my visits?
Yes, I have.
And
they would always give me an excuse, like, we have to find another one. That one, what didn't work out for you? But apparently that one got fired because she really wasn't doing her job. Wasn't really doing a good job. Trying to tell people what to do and try to, take the kid away into another room so she can try to, deal with them and stuff. And I'm like, I'm a parent. This is my child. He's not yours. And that was the last visit with my boys. And that's been almost 2 years ago.
And have you tried talking to their grandma?
Me and my mom have tried to. She blocked me on Facebook. And apparently she changed the number, and her husband changed his number too, because I had their numbers, and I was friends on them on Facebook, and apparently they blocked me and changed their numbers.
Were you allowed to have phone visits?
Yeah, I would. Like Donnie, my youngest, he had ammonia, and I called over there and called, the grandma to see how he was doing and everything.
Who told you that?
My youngest, my boys' grandma, when I called over there.
She called and said what? Or you called and she said what?
Because one visit I couldn't see the boys because of Donnie was sick. My youngest, he was sick. And so I called to see how he was doing, and I would call every couple days to see how he was holding up and everything.
Was he in the hospital?
Yeah. That's what the grandma told me. But I was able to talk, that's the time I was able to talk to my youngest and my oldest.
Were you able to go to the hospital?
No, they would not let me do that.
Why?
Because they wanted somebody supervised there to go with me.
How long was he in the hospital?
I think it was just 24 hours. I think he just stayed over there for overnight.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is really confusing. I've not yet heard, where you're just left in limbo for a couple years.
Yeah. I'm lost and I'm confused and nothing, and I can't even, I want to go up there to the office and talk to him. Be like, hey, I would like to see my kids. Hey, I would like to see my daughter. I mean, because my grandma is the one that told me about my daughter.
Right.
And apparently I have Zoom, I have a conference, and I told him that, like, hey, I can get on here, I can do, what you want. We can do the court on Zoom and stuff, but still nothing. Apparently, because they made me go all the way to Winchester. Me and my mom go to Winchester.
What does that mean?
We drove it was Winchester is the town, the other town next, where they're located in Randolph County, here in Indiana.
So you went there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we had court.
And what happened?
No, nothing. Like I told you, nobody showed up. Nobody told me that that it was over Zoom and stuff, and the bailiff was confused and stuff too. Because the bailiff knows, because he was like, Jessica, and I'm like, yeah, because he didn't recognize me because I changed my hair color.
So did you jump on the Zoom meeting on your phone or anything?
Yeah, but I have got nothing.
What do you mean you got nothing? They didn't
get through. I would be sitting there waiting and waiting. I even screenshot it and stuff too, of it saying waiting on progress and waiting for this, waiting for the other host, but still nothing.
Did they ever send you an email?
No, they can't. They got my address wrong, my address, and I have written my address down so much they wrote my address wrong. There is no address of what they tried to mail me to, but luckily they know, people in this town know, where I'm at, where I'm staying at right now.
So, well, what are you going to do now? Like, do you have an idea of what's next?
I'm me and my mom are going in on a lawyer, and we're going to talk to these 2 lawyers, and we're going to see which one will help, and which it'll be fine. And then we're going to go from there, because what my mom says, they're doing the railroad. They'll be on and they'll be taking me off, and they'll be on and off. That's what it seems like, because my mom wants to see them so bad.
Right. She doesn't have grandparent rights?
No. No, not at all. But my grandma, the kids' great grandma, she can go and see them. But I can't. Well, my grandma hasn't seen my boys, but she sees my daughter. And like I told you, that's how I found out about my daughter. That they went and underneath me and adopted her. And I didn't, like I told you, I didn't get notified or anything about my daughter getting adopted. I didn't get a notice about my appeals, that I appealed.
Right.
So I'm just completely lost. And we're going to see what these lawyers, because we're going to see what the lawyers are going to say.
Right.
And I'm going to probably end up talking to somebody higher than the, CPS and the court system and stuff. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to get a hold of them, because to see if they know what they are doing, because I think they need to know what's going on, because there's a lot of parents, good parents out here, that are getting their kids taken away for no reason. None whatsoever.
Right.
And so, and because I had another friend, she had started having visits too, just like me, and then all of a sudden they just quit. And so we're both at a loss.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do the next step, and we're just going to pray that these 2 lawyers, me and my mom are going to pray that these 2 lawyers won't say that Randolph County is difficult, because I heard it from another person that told me that this one lawyer, he's really good. So hopefully he'll take my case.
Right.
Because we talked to other people, and they said that was legal how they did that with my daughter. They shouldn't have happened, like it shouldn't have happened. And I didn't sign my daughter off or anything. They were trying to take my rights, and I still have my rights.
Yeah.
And they're trying to they were trying to take it, but I don't know if they did or what. So it's hard telling, because if you're not, how can I say this? If you're not on drugs, they don't really care. If you're a good parent, they don't really care. But because there's all kinds of other people here that are on drugs, and they still have their kids, or they get their kids taken and then they'll get them back, but they won't get clean. But I got clean, and that's what I'm not understanding, is why are they helping out them and not, the ones that are actually clean and wanting a different life.
Does the dad get to see them?
He did for a little bit, but I had to make that stop, because that was the last straw of him punching my son in the stomach. So he hasn't seen him for about 3 years. And he even sold his house and just moved. And I haven't seen him forever, and it's great. I haven't talked to him. I haven't seen him. So, but I don't know if he does or not, and that's what I'm terrified of. Because I really don't want him seeing my boys. I mean, He really traumatized my oldest.
Well, maybe when you figure things out, you can update us and let us know what happens.
Yeah, I will do that. I just like talking about it and other people's point of views, and letting them be frustrated like how I'm frustrated, or not frustrated, but confused.
Yeah.
Because it's really confusing.
Yeah, definitely confused. So, well, it was really nice talking to you.
You too.